For a while, succession planning was all the rage in the corporate world. Companies were busily looking within for the top talent to groom as the next generation of leaders. Often, they would make the current leaders look for and train their own replacements. Less frequent, but perhaps more important, is replacement planning, selecting a specific candidate to groom for replacing the key leadership position. That process usually takes some time, perhaps years, as the replacement shadows the current leader. However, it would be highly unusual for someone to go through 40 years of grooming to take over as CEO. By then, they're looking for retirement themselves. But that's exactly what happened in the case of Moses. Think back to that first year after Israel came out of Egypt. They received the law at Mount Sinai and sealed the covenant with Jehovah in Exodus chapters 20 through 24. Then Moses went up on the mountain to receive more detailed instruction about the tabernacle. The only person who went with him was Joshua, Exodus chapter 24, verse 13. Then, a year later, after Israel built the tabernacle and celebrated the second Passover, they prepared to take the promised land. 12 spies were sent out, but only 2 came back with the faith to take the land, Caleb and Joshua. That's Numbers 14, verses 6 through 9. 40 years later, of all the men who came out of Egypt, only those 2, Joshua and Caleb, were allowed to enter the promised land, and God chose one of them to be successor to Moses, Joshua. And that was after an additional 39 years of replacement training in the wilderness wanderings. That's Numbers 27, verses 15 through 23. In the passage naming him as Moses' replacement, there's a comment that clearly connects Joshua to Jesus in a foreshadowing of what Christ would do. It's besides his name, Joshua and Jesus are the same, and the fact that Joshua, like Jesus, was leading them into the promised land. Notice at the end of verse 17 that the congregation of the Lord will not be like sheep which have no shepherd. That concept is repeated several times in the Old Testament and described how Jesus saw Israel, Matthew 9, verse 36. Because of that need, God chose him as our chief shepherd to lead us to heaven, 1 Peter 5, verse 4. No company in human history can touch the kind of leadership planning that God put into preparing Joshua to lead Israel. But that's nothing compared to the planning that went into preparing his son to lead us to heaven. Oh, what a glorious God we have. I hope you'll come back tomorrow as Morning Minutes in the Bible continues exploring the glory of our great God. Until then, this is James McClenny hoping you have a great day.